Today, Bella and I will be explaining various previous conceptions of the solar system, along with models that we have developed. As a society, we have only subscribed to the heliocentric model of the universe that we now know to be true for around 400 years. The system you see now, with planets orbiting the Sun in an elliptical fashion, was not known for the majority of astronomical research. It was preceded by geocentric models. Bella and I are working to demonstrate how the solar system was perceived without the advanced technology we have today. I am starting with a model of the Ptolemaic solar system. This is a model of the Ptolemaic system of the solar system. His full book of astronomical research is from the 2nd century CE. He believed that the Earth was the center of the universe. There was a layer of Earth, followed by water, air, and finally a ring of fire. I represented this with various layers of felt on this ball, our Earth. I cut a quarter out of the ball to allow us to see each layer. Here you can see the Earth and then the subsequent layers. Around the Earth, you see the planets, which Ptolemy called the celestial bodies, which was a separate 5th layer after the fire. Religious norms played heavily into this model of the universe. The celestial bodies revolve around the Earth in elliptical orbits, as seen here. To explain retrograde motion, Ptolemy developed a concept of the epicycle. He believed that each celestial body was orbiting around the Earth and going in a smaller circle of its own. The orbit around the Earth was made up of smaller circular orbits of each planet. This provided an explanation for why the planets sometimes seemed to be going backwards. Though this model was far more advanced than others before it, there were still significant problems. Ultimately, with later discoveries of Copernicus and Brahe, more advanced systems of the solar system were developed. Now Bella will explain another geocentric model of the universe.
The geocentric solar system was first introduced around the 6th century BC by philosopher Anaximander. In this cosmological system, the Earth is at the center of the universe and all other planets and the Sun orbit around it. Around the 4th century BC, Plato and Aristotle subscribed to the geocentric theory and solidified its place as a reputable theory. Plato believed that the Earth was a stationary center, and all the other planets moved around it. In the Middle Ages, the geocentric theory became synthesized with Christian theory and essential to its teachings. I created my geocentric system out of rocks that my dad and I have collected over the years. The Sun is represented by a salt lamp. It is understandable that early astronomers and observers of the sky would think that the Sun and the planets revolved around them on the Earth. It wasn't until the 16th century that Nicholas Copernicus began to discuss his model of the heliocentric system. During the time in which the geocentric system was applied, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn were the other discovered planets, and of course, the Moon and Sun were observed. Mercury looks very similar to the surface of the Earth's moon. It has no atmosphere, so its surface is scarred from craters and meteoroids. Venus was named after the Roman goddess of beauty and love because it is the brightest in the sky after the Moon and Sun. It moves east to west instead of west to east like the other planets. Mars is similar in size to the Earth. It is known as the red planet and is symbolic of blood and war. Jupiter is the next furthest from the Earth. We now know that it is the oldest planet. It has a great red spot that definitely existed since 1831 and possibly since 1665. Saturn is the furthest planet from the Earth. In Plato's system, the one I modeled my system after, everything moved around the Earth in circular orbits at a constant speed. There were certainly issues with the geocentric model, which is why it was eventually discredited. It couldn't explain why planets appear lighter and darker at different times of the year. Now, we know that the planets revolve at different speeds around the Sun, so sometimes they are in and out of view of the Earth. Another issue with the geocentric model was an explanation for planets that would occasionally stop and reverse direction. Now, we know that this is retrograde motion, and only possible because the planets do not travel around Earth at the same distance to us at all times, and they do not travel in perfect circles. This is especially apparent for Venus. Venus travels in the opposite direction from most other planets, So not only does this explain why it looks like it's going backwards in comparison to other planets, but it explains that it actually is going backwards. We now know that the rotation and orbit of the Sun, Moon, and Earth are more complicated. The Moon orbits around the Earth, and together they orbit around the Sun. The geocentric model did not account for this, so although ancient astronomers observed the phases of the Moon, they did not explain them correctly. In today's heliocentric universe, the observations we make in the night sky can be explained with much more stable scientific proof. Thanks to the technologies that have been developed, we now know much more about the universe that surrounds us, but there is much more to discover. Thanks for watching our project.